Okay, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Talking Bayside Business. I'm Rebecca Matthews. I am your host today, and I am the local transformation coach and the founder of a local business called the Mind and Body Co. We are very excited to sponsor this series of interviews where we are championing and showcasing local business, and more importantly, the people behind the business. So today I wanted to introduce you to Nathan Prasad, and he is the founder of Invision Property. Now, he is a local property buying advocate, and this space really excites me because I love the idea of going out and buying houses and spending that kind of money for other people. So it's like the dream shopping job. Welcome, Nathan.
Hey, Beck. Thanks for having me.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for joining me. So obviously we're going to run through a little bit. The purpose of the interview is to really help people understand who you are, what's important to you, and get to know the man behind the business and how your business is serving the local community. So would you like to start with just kind of in a sort of shortish snippet, telling us a little bit about what your business is and what you do?
Okay. To start it off, I work as a buyer's agent. So pretty much what I do is I help investors, families and developers source properties across the Bayside and Brisbane. And it's really for sort of, you've got time poor individuals, you've got people that want access to sort of off-market properties, or simply people just need help with, trying to work out a purchase price and anywhere in between. So like I'm pretty much the guide that a lot of people go to just to help them with the buying process.
It sounds like quite an interesting role because obviously it's a very complex process, and for people that aren't familiar with the process, it can be quite scary and quite daunting. What is it that got you into this business, and what was it about this industry that really excited you and thought, I want to play in this space?
So what really actually got me into the industry was when I went to go buy my first property. So when I was 20, I saved up enough money to go get my first property. I didn't really have anyone to help me and guide me through the process. So I was pretty much left on my own, and I happened to buy the most expensive property in the suburb. Well, I only had a budget of 350,000, and then what happened was the agent said, come on, look at this property that was just down the road. And then I fell in love with it. I got really emotionally attached. It had a granny flat. It had a pool. I just thought, wow, this is going to be awesome to have parties at. And then I got caught into it. And, even when I went to go put in an offer, I tried putting in an offer for 380,000. The agent just on the spot just crossed it out and he said, no, that's not good enough. And he wrote 400,000. Wow. And he convinced me to sign it. And at the time, I didn't know what to do. I didn't even know that I could negotiate. I ended up signing the contract and buying it. And about like a year and a half into it, I wanted to sort of build upon that property. And then that's when I realized, damn, I've like overpaid on this property. I haven't brought the right property in the right location. Then, through that process, I started, reading books about investing in property, trying to figure out a way, how can I get out of this situation? I then, eventually renovated it and I sold it for a profit. And then I brought my next property in about sort of 10 kilometres from the Brisbane CBD. And then from there, I started helping investors, started helping developers while I was working in my current job. And then it started getting busier and busier. And then I took the leap and now I'm doing it full time. So through the process, I just got grew a passion for property. Like there's so much money to be made in property with investing, but at the same time, you've got families, they don't really have anyone to represent them. They've got no one to help them. They're really left to talk to the sales agent, and a lot of people don't understand that the sales agent's really working for the seller. So they don't really have your best interest in hand, and it's kind of like when you go to court, you get a lawyer. So when people go buy this $1 million home, they've not got no one to represent them, and I thought I'd fill that space and I'll be that person that can help.
Absolutely. And it's not chump change, it's big money. We're talking big money. Why wouldn't you have someone on your team to make sure that you're getting the best value for your money. And it certainly sounds like you learnt the hard way, like most of us do. We stumble along the process the first time, and then we realize there's a better way. And I guess what our message today is that, to our audience, is to get involved with someone like yourself sooner rather than later, because it's not only going to help, I imagine, emotionally and mentally, because you're not carrying that stress and that constant second guessing and doubting your decisions, but you're going to save what sounds like loads of money in the process as well, because there are smarter ways to be doing these things.
Absolutely. I see it time and time again. I had a guy reach out last week. He was based in Sydney. He bought this apartment in Milton, and there's no way he's going to be able to sell it for the amount that he purchased it for. So he's essentially stuck, and he's sitting there hoping and waiting that the market goes up. And I'm not too sure what his financial situation was like, but everyday mum and dads, if they get stuck in that situation, they've got no other option really. They've just got to hold it for the next 10 years. And that's the beauty about property. Property is very forgiving. So over the long term, the property prices will go up.
Yeah, you've got to be in a position to stay and hold it though, because
that's
it is tricky. We, I myself have had investment properties. One we had to sell at a loss because we couldn't carry it anymore. Another we sold at a profit. It depends on where you are at the time. My husband and I have a young family, so we have to make the decision that's right for us and our family. And holding on to property and waiting to see if the market bounces back or not, or when that might happen, sometimes just isn't the right thing to do. Yeah, or something you can't do. So what is it that you think makes your business special? Obviously you're special, but what do you think makes your business special?
Well, I guess it's solving a number of problems. You've got, at this moment, there's very low stock levels. Anyone that's looking for a property, they'll realise when they jump on realestate.com, everything's under contract.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
It's either sold before the first open home, or it's been sold off market. So that's one avenue. So what I do is, I've built up a lot of real estate agent relationships, and using other channels, letterbox drops, door knocking, just trying to source other channels of property. Especially when it's their family home, you want to make sure they get to see everything, not just the stuff that's online.
Yeah.
And then the next step is doing the proper due diligence, making sure that we're not overpaying, we're looking at the right comparables, we're looking at easements. And another a property that we pulled out of just before Christmas. It turns out, I said to the client, hey, you need to get this building check done on this property, because I think this renovation is not approved. I think it's still an open application. And luckily we done that check. It cost $200.
Yeah.
But that would have cost that client, there was no price for it. It would have cost $20,000, even $100,000. There was all this plumbing that had been done. So I just make sure that we do those checks as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is an invaluable service, right? So what do you think is a misconception that people have about your business or the industry that you're in?
I think the biggest misconception is, you need to be buying a big luxury home. You need to be spending sort of $3 million or $5 million to use a buyer's agent. I've helped sort of first home buyers, investors buy a property worth $300,000. And I think right there, people just have the misconception that you need to have a lot of money to use a buyer's agent, and that's just not the case.
Yeah. I guess too that a lot of people would have the misconception, and I'm guessing, I'm making an assumption here, but I think that people may have the misconception that you've got to spend a lot of money on a buyer's agent. It's going to cost you money a lot of money to have an agent, and we're already paying so much. We're paying legal fees and we're paying stamp duty and deposits, and the whole thing, and prices are crazy. Is a buyer's agent really something I want to spend more money on? And certainly by the sounds of it, you're saying you've saved that money in most cases anyway.
Absolutely. There's been cases where I've brought it sort of 80 grand below market value. That was one property I got last year, and that more covered my fee. The last property I purchased for a family, I managed to negotiate $10,000 off for building and pest. So I'm always trying to save my clients money, but sometimes it's not just all about the money. Some families are just simply time poor. You know, both parents are working, they've got kids. They just don't have the time to sit there scrolling on the internet, sit there on the phones, go the days. They just want to know that, you know, there's somebody that's looking for them on their behalf. It's, you know, making sure that they're going to get the right property for the right price.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you know, you talk about being time poor. You know, I'm one of those families. You know, my husband and I started dipping our toe into the local market last year, and you know, the countless hours on all the websites, and then you finally ring up an agent or you finally book in to go to an open home and it's already under contract and you think, oh God, why do I bother? And you know, and then the hours trawling around looking at all the open homes, dragging the kids around, moaning and complaining, and just that whole process is, you know, you want to be a part of it and you want to put the effort in to make sure you're making the right decision, but maybe you get someone like yourself to do the shortlist, and then you only go see the ones that actually already meet the criteria you're looking for.
Absolutely, you nailed it all on the head. Shortlisting, you know, it's as simple as you see it come up on realestate.com, jumping on the phone, calling the agent and saying, like, is this still available and what sort of price do they want for it? You know, if it's overpriced or it's already under contract, boom, I've already saved, you know, an hour out of the day. I kind of break that down to clients. I'm always trying to solve a problem. So that, you know, the family I'm looking for at the moment, they'd been looking for 6 months, you know, and I just broke down, said, how many hours a week are you looking? And they're both engineers. They said, you know, probably 2-3 hours a week. And then I said, how much is that over the month? And we just broke it down. And I said, what's your hourly rate? And they're like, oh, is your hourly rate only $10 an hour? They're like, no, absolutely not. You know, we're both engineers, and you know, they're both on, I could dare say, more than $10 an hour. But then, yeah, people that start to value their time, they just say, okay, let's just outsource it.
Oh, absolutely. I've spoken to so many people in the local community here who have spent 6 to 12 months, you know, looking for the right property. And it's an interesting one at the moment because, you know, like you say, property prices are going through the roof. There's hardly any stock. But, you know, the economy is not necessarily there to support it right now. So it's a really interesting market. It's an interesting landscape to be watching. What do you find most challenging about working and doing business in the Bayside community?
I think the most challenging part has just been low stock levels of property. And I guess like with the current COVID situation, meeting people, my whole business has probably moved more on Zoom, which has been good. Yeah, like as a buyer's agent, my constant problem is trying to find properties. Yeah. So I am on the phones talking to agents, trying to find new opportunities constantly and trying to figure out other ways of finding new properties.
Yeah, absolutely. I can see that would be a real challenge. What do you think is the most rewarding thing about doing business with the Bayside community and in the local area?
I think, like, for me personally within my business is when I get to help families find their family home. You know, the last one was a family where they'd been looking for 3 months. They already sold their property. They had like 3 weeks to get into a property. And then I was able to get them into one within 1 week and then have it settle on the same day. But when we got it under contract, like, and it all went through, like, they were just so happy. They're so grateful that they didn't have to go get a rental. Yeah, the story was that one. Like, it went live Wednesday morning. I took them through Wednesday night, and they said, "Do you like it?" And they're like, "Yeah, we love it." I said, "We have to put a contract in tonight." They're like, "What are you talking about? Like, we need to do it tonight."
Yeah, you got to move quickly in this market. It's
absolutely
crazy space.
But it was really good. You know, it's a family home. They're going to be there for the next 10, 20 years.
Yeah, it's worth doing the work for sure. What do you have as your hopes and dreams for your business in this coming year? What would you love to see change in the landscape, and what are your goals this year?
So my goals for my business is to start building my online presence from a business point of view. Like doing things like right now, like podcasting, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, start to build that up. And on top of that, I want to build this business up and add on another buyer's agent.
Yeah, exciting.
And yeah. I think get more involved with the community, build more awareness around the buyer's agent model and everything around that. I think building awareness is probably the key.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because I've moved up from Melbourne last year, and buyers agents are really common down there. And as anyone that watches the block knows, that it's always the buyers agents that are in there. But it is really almost normal to have a buyer's agent in Melbourne. Do you feel like it's kind of a new space that people are not really aware of or comfortable with here in the Brisbane region?
Yeah, absolutely. Still to this day, I always ask the question, do you know what a buyer's agent does? Have you heard of a buyer's agent? And they'll say, no, like, what is a buyer's agent? What do you do? But it's starting to get, I think about 2 years ago when I did start, there wasn't as much awareness, but now when I'm speaking, they're like, yeah, I know what a buyer's agent does. I've spoken to one the other day. The awareness is starting to build. And I do say, like, within the Bayside in the Brisbane area, the amount of buyer's agents has sort of doubled. So hopefully over the next 2-3 years, it's going to be quite common. Everybody's going to know what a buyer's agent does. And
well, you've certainly sold it to me. I can tell you that. Saving me time and money and making sure that all the correct due diligence is done. I mean, that's just win-win-win. What have you noticed has changed in the local community over recent times?
There's a lot more. There's a lot more demand. I could say that. I've spoken to sort of 2 people from Melbourne last week, and they're just seeing Bayside and that area, Wynnum, Manly, as such a lifestyle change. Like, you're still close to the water. I'm going down there all the time, and just like hanging out at Raby Bay, it's just so close. And then, you're so close to the water, but then you're so close to the city. There's still the train line, there's the buses. So I think like, and after sort of like, because I'm always looking at investment posts, videos and everything like that. And those areas have been coming up a lot more. And I've been buying in those areas. I really think that there's a lot of growth, in regards to the real estate side of things.
Yeah, absolutely. I certainly know when we moved up from Melbourne, so we were living Bayside in Melbourne, and when we were looking at where we wanted to live, we actually put all of Australia on the table, and where we want to live, what is the lifestyle we want to create, what are the things we're looking for, and we narrowed it down to this little nook of the world. So this gave us access to the city for jobs and university and things for the kids in coming years. Great schooling, close to the city, close to the waterfront, the Bayside outdoor lifestyle. The house prices in comparison to Melbourne and Sydney and other places like that are still, even though for locals it may feel like the prices are going through the roof and they're ridiculous, but in comparison to other places, they're still quite affordable for the lifestyle you're getting, and the investment in your physical, mental, long-term well-being of living in a place like this. I mean, we're so blessed. What are your hopes and dreams, I guess, for what would you love to see happen in this area over the next year or two?
I'd like to just not to get too commercialized. And I'd like them not to maybe, quite commercialized, probably not have too many apartment buildings and just keep it as houses. That's probably my main focus, because I've seen how when they do rezonings and how that kind of destroys the little suburb, and they create all these apartments. Like, it's good for the developers, but if they could just create a lot more sort of heritage listing spots, that'd be good. Yeah,
absolutely. It's a personal gripe of mine, actually. I love the history and the the bigger homes in the area, and it breaks my heart every time I see one pulled down to put up two, 405 blocks. Or like you say, the townhouses are beautiful, and who doesn't love a brand new townhouse? But the lifestyle of living on a small block is challenging. But for people who are wanting to move to the area, they want a nice home. That's what they can afford to get them into the space. And that, for us, we certainly are constantly weighing up, can we squeeze our lifestyle into a 405 and then utilize all of the recreational spaces we have available? But how do you do that without taking away from the character of the area?
Yeah.
And certainly, like you say, putting up all the apartment blocks, which obviously changed the landscape considerably. It's really interesting. If you could, you did mention Raby Bay before, but if you could mention or name one of your favourite local Bayside spots, where would it be? Share us and give us insight into Nathan and how he spends his leisure time.
Generally it's Raby Bay, just going down there. You can go stand up paddleboarding. I enjoy doing that on a Sunday.
Yeah, perfect.
I just had a mind blank, but out near the tower, is it Wynnum Point? Oh, Victoria Point.
Victoria Point, yeah.
Yeah, I just done it on the last Sunday of the holidays. We just went down there, took a picnic blanket, and it's just, you can just watch the sunset there.
Yeah.
Go grab a coffee there and grab fish and chips. It's awesome. And it's literally it's only a 10-minute drive. The amazing part.
Aren't we? We're so lucky. It's the Raby Bay, the markets. We tend to go down there, grab an ice cream, walk through the markets, grab a coffee or whatever. It's a lovely spot to hang out, and then we are so blessed. There are so many amazing spots locally to explore and to love. So thank you for sharing yours with us. I'm sure if anyone hasn't checked that out, they'll go away and do that. Now, thank you so much for chatting with me today. I so appreciate your time. I'll leave it there because I know that you have a busy day of appointments ahead. So I'm going to let you get away, but I'm going to put your contact details in the details attached to the video so people can reach you, and hopefully people will now know who Nathan Prasad is and reach out to Invision Property next time they are purchasing a property. It's very exciting. I do hope the community rallies behind this interview series and the businesses that we're championing, and really support local business, because as a community, everyone has been really challenged by this last year. Everyone has had to adapt. The people that have the bricks and mortar business spaces, and those of us who are working online and sort of adapting to the new times. But it's really important that we all support each other and we all really champion each other to succeed over this next year, because I don't know that this next year is going to be all that much easier than the last one. But I think the trick is that we've all adapted, we've all learnt from the last 12 months. And, if we all band together like we do, and like I've fallen in love with this community for doing, we can certainly all support each other to succeed. So thank you again for your time, and I look forward to talking to you again soon.
Well, thank you so much for having me on. And I guess, if anyone out there looking to, buy an investment property or the next family home, feel free to reach out through my website. I'm always happy to help.
Perfect. Thanks, Nathan.
Thanks.